Welcome to this explainer. Today we're uncovering the hidden, completely mechanical reality of how stress batters your cardiovascular system. Look, we've all been told a million times that stress is bad for us, right? But today we're moving way past that vague advice. We are going to map out exactly what is happening inside your chest, and more importantly, we're going to give you the hardwired, physical tools you actually need to fight back and protect your heart.
So I want you to genuinely think about this for a second. How stressed out are you right in this exact moment? Are your shoulders tight? Is your breathing kind of shallow? We live in an era of constant, low-grade panic, and it's taking a very real toll on us. Take the terrifying story of Jesse Pagan, recently reported by CBS 8 in San Diego.
Jesse is a young guy. Just shy of his 30th birthday, he started experiencing this intense heaviness in his chest, accompanied by an aching left arm. Naturally, he assumed the absolute worst, so he ran straight to the hospital, completely convinced he was having a fatal heart attack. He underwent a whole battery of tests. And the diagnosis? Well, his heart was structurally perfect. The real culprit was severe, unchecked stress and anxiety that had just been quietly lying underneath the surface. He literally mistook an emotion for a fatal heart attack.
And the crazy part is, Jesse is absolutely not alone in this vulnerability. According to recent polling data from the American Psychiatric Association, a staggering 37% of Americans rate their mental health as merely fair or poor. This isn't just some personal struggle anymore. This is a massive collective crisis. We are globally overwhelmed, and as we're about to see, our bodies simply weren't built to sustain this modern environment.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, how stress tears arteries.
It's time to transition from the psychological feeling of being stressed out into the harsh biological reality of what this emotion actually does to our internal plumbing. Dr. Lori Daniels, a cardiologist, and Stanford neurobiologist Andrew Huberman both explain this beautifully. Deep within you, running from your neck down to your navel, is a collection of neurons called the sympathetic chain ganglia. When your brain senses a threat, whether it's a real, physical predator or just an imagined fear about paying your bills, these neurons fall like dominoes. They instantly dump epinephrine, or adrenaline, into your system. Your blood vessels dilate, and an emergency signal is sent straight to your heart telling it to beat faster and stronger. Your body is literally preparing for physical combat, even if you're just sitting at your desk.
Now, if you constantly trigger the system, you experience what cardiologists call shear stress. And I want to be super clear here. This is exactly what is happening in your chest when you let anxiety run unchecked over the long term. It's not just a feeling. The increased blood pressure from this constant state of alarm acts like a rushing, turbulent river, physically scraping and damaging the delicate inner lining of your arteries day after day.
And the physical manifestation of intense emotion can be so severe that it literally reshapes the organ itself. Dr. Krauss, featured on Living Healthy Chicago, highlights a remarkable and terrifying condition called stress-induced cardiomyopathy, more commonly known as broken heart syndrome. When hit with profound grief or intense stress, the heart muscle can temporarily change its literal structure and lose its ability to function properly. It's profound evidence that your emotional state and your physical heart are intimately tethered together.
And we cannot afford to ignore this tether. According to the CDC, heart disease is the leading cause of death for Americans, killing roughly 700,000 people every single year. Let me repeat that, 700,000 people. The damage caused by chronic stress, high blood pressure, and arterial wear and tear is a deadly serious issue. It really is an invisible killer.
Which brings us to Section 2, the physiological side.
But hey, here is the good news. Because the stress response is built on hardwired biological mechanisms, we have equally hardwired physical off switches. To understand how to control your heart, you have to understand the mechanical relationship between your lungs and your blood. Think of it as a physical pump and reservoir system. When you inhale, your diaphragm moves down and the spatial volume of your chest cavity expands. This literally gives your heart more room, making it a bit bigger. Because the heart is larger, the blood inside it actually moves more slowly. Your brain senses this slowdown via the sinoatrial node and essentially says, hey, speed the heart up. Conversely, when you exhale, the diaphragm moves up and the heart gets physically smaller and more compact. The blood shoots through that tighter space faster, the brain registers the speed and sends a signal to immediately put the brakes on your heart rate.
Andrew Huberman breaks down how we can hack this exact system using a breathing technique called the physiological sigh. It is simple, incredibly effective, and you can honestly do it right now. Step 1. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Step 2. Right at the top, sneak in a tiny second inhale. Step 3. Perform a very long, vigorous exhale through your mouth.
Because we know exhales physically shrink the heart and trigger the brain to slow down the heart rate. This long exhale instantly activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's built-in calming network.
And this brilliantly illustrates why that tiny second inhale is the real secret weapon here. The mechanics are absolutely incredible. When we get stressed, millions of tiny little air sacs in our lungs, they're called alveoli, start to collapse. This traps carbon dioxide in our bloodstream, which creates that feeling of frantic physical agitation. That double inhale physically pops open those collapsed sacs, reinflating a surface area of your lungs roughly the size of a tennis court. Seriously, you literally have a tennis court inside your chest. Then the long exhale rapidly dumps all that stress-inducing CO2 out of your body. Just 1 to 3 of these sighs brings your baseline stress down faster than anything else scientifically proven. Now for Section 3, raising your stress threshold. So, knowing how to hit the brakes is great, but we also want to upgrade our engine, right? We need to raise our actual threshold and capacity for stress so we don't panic as easily. To do that, we have to recognize a surprising truth. Short-term stress is actually incredibly good for you. Evolutionarily, the stress response was designed to keep you alive. When you experience a brief spike in adrenaline, your body actually liberates killer immune cells from organs like your spleen. These cells flood your system to combat incoming viral and bacterial infections. So, brief moments of panic literally supercharge your immune system to fight off invaders.
The crucial point here is that we can deliberately practice experiencing stress in safe environments to build our tolerance. You can intentionally spike your adrenaline by doing 25 cycles of deep, rapid hyperventilation, often known as Wim Hof breathing. You can take an ice bath or a cold shower. As brutal as that sounds, it works. Or you can do high-intensity sprint exercises. By voluntarily putting your body into a state of high alarm, you get to practice handling that flood of adrenaline, basically teaching your brain to remain calm while your body is at maximum output.
And if you find yourself overwhelmed during those moments of a high heart rate, Huberman offers a really fascinating visual trick to calm your mind. When we are stressed, our pupils dilate, giving us tunnel vision. It's a survival mechanism to focus on a threat. But if you deliberately widen your gaze right now without moving your head to take in a panoramic view of your entire environment at once, you physically send a signal to your brainstem. This widened gaze turns off the brain's alertness circuit, immediately calming your mind even if your heart is still pounding. It's a real game changer. Let's wrap up with Section 4, preventing long-term cardiac risks.
Finally, we really have to look at the big picture. We know how to stop acute stress, and we know how to practice medium-term stress. But how do we combat the chronic, long-term stress that slowly withers our arteries over years and decades? Protecting your heart for the long haul requires a few foundational pillars. First and foremost, social connection and delight. Humans are social creatures, and finding joy and connection triggers the release of serotonin in your brain. Serotonin isn't just some happy chemical. It acts as a literal biological shield, repairing neural connections and boosting your immune system. Combine that with proper diet, deep sleep, and hydration, which clear toxins from your arteries. Finally, during periods where life is just unavoidably heavy, researchers point to non-prescription supplements. Clinical sources suggest ashwagandha can effectively lower the stress hormone cortisol, while L-theanine increases GABA in your brain, helping turn off those ruminating, anxious thoughts so you can achieve deep, restorative rest.
So what does this all mean for us? It means stress is not just in your head. It is in your blood vessels, it's in your breathing, and it is actively shaping the literal structure of your heart. But you are not powerless here. You have the steering wheel. So the question I'll leave you with is this. Are you going to let an invisible emotion physically break your heart? Or are you going to use your diaphragm, your vision, and your daily habits to actively fight back? The mechanics are in your hands. Thank you so much for joining this explainer.